Hey Squad, welcome back to Crime Squad Podcast with me, your host, Natasha. I've been hard at work creating new content for you, Squad, so stay tuned for more local London cases, as well as some really hard-hitting content related to some of the things going on in the news lately. In addition, my Missing Monday posts are continuing across all platforms: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Please share to try and spread the word so we can hopefully get some of these missing individuals home to their families. This bonus episode of Crime Squad Podcast is about my experience at an event here in London, Ontario in July of 2022. A word before we begin. There is finally closure in this case, as the accused has been convicted of his charges and is awaiting sentencing. In fact, he's actually due in court today, so it'll be interesting to see what comes of this. I'm not going to name this individual, but if you feel like looking him up, it won't be hard to find information. You can do an internet search for the Wortley Pride incident, and that should bring up everything you need to know. Okay, Squad, let's get into today's bonus content. Let me set the stage. It was July of 2022. And I was excited to attend the first Wortley Pride event in Wortley Village, which is a neighborhood in London, Ontario. I'm a very inclusive person, and the family-friendly event included live music, vendors, drag story time, and so much more. I was also excited to be supporting my friend, the wonderful Kathy Bell Copeland. I've known Kathy and her lovely wife, Denise, for many years, and I was actually at their wedding. Kathy is the president of the Wortley Pride Collective. It was her vision and that of other members on the board that brought forward this outdoor event for everyone to enjoy. And I'm so excited to say the event is still running strong, with the most recent one having just wrapped up. I parked my vehicle on that hot summer day and I began my walk to the green space the event was being held at. Immediately after I crossed the street, I saw a large white pickup truck with Canadian flags on it driving down the Wortley Road. It was blaring its horn, and the first thing I thought of was that this person was having a medical emergency and needed assistance. I stopped in my tracks, ready to apply first aid if necessary, because I have my first aid certification. Boy, was I wrong. The truck stopped suddenly in the middle of the road, and two individuals flew out of the vehicle, a male and a female. I watched, perplexed, as the male ran over to a woman who was standing on the sidewalk, and she was holding a small picture frame. I don't know what was in the frame. I was too far away. But after a loud verbal altercation, the man grabbed the woman's wrist and then yanked the framed photograph from her hands and threw it into the field. Now, I have an issue with bullying. I will always get involved if I see something I don't agree with, and it's complete impulse. I don't even think, honestly. I've confronted people much larger than me, people who would probably be capable of delivering me some serious hurt. I have stood up for others, and then I've had hate directed toward me as a result. But I can't help it. I will always run my mouth if it's warranted, and if I have to put up, I will do my best to defend myself. My partner hates this quality in me because I'm 5'2" and have no self-defense training. Back to July 2022, I immediately yelled at the couple to stop what they were doing and to leave the woman alone. Not everyone reacts well to being called out. And let me tell you, the couple definitely did not like my raised voice and demands to stop. Within seconds, the female ran over to me and was standing less than an inch away from my face, calling me derogatory names. Soon after, the male decided to join her, and they both flanked me and were yelling at top volume. They were saying things like I should be disgusted with myself for bringing my son to an event like this. And also, they were calling me homophobic slurs. It took everything I had not to engage more than I did. Because if my son wasn't there, I probably would have had to land a punch just because, again, they were totally in my personal space. I did, however, yell back. I could literally feel the spittle from the couple's lips flying onto my cheeks. Their rage was intense and their disgust was clear. And just remember, folks, I was holding my infant son in my arms at this point. My son began crying, which made me even more upset at the couple, and I hurled a few choice words. No, I'm not proud of this. Yes, I realize my anger should have been kept in check. I think I said something to the tune of, "You fucking pieces of shit, you made my fucking kid cry. Get the fuck out of here." Things escalated pretty quickly after that. People started showing up in hordes, supporters from the Wortley Pride event. People were afraid. Some were crying, some were screaming. I remember a beautiful drag queen came and stood beside me, smoking a cigarette with shaking fingers, and was crying. I offered to hold their hand to hopefully offer both of us some comfort. I also watched, rooted to the spot, unable to move away because I was truly in shock. Numbers of people began to increase, lining the sidewalks and now the street. The female of the couple had gotten into a physical fight with another female on the side of the street. People began blocking the big white pickup truck to prevent the couple from taking off, and the cops had been called. With the sound of police sirens in the air, things got even worse. I witnessed the male counterpart in the couple swinging a 2x4 at a man just steps away from where I was standing with my son in my arms. I was lucky because a woman came running up to me and pushed me away from the line of fire, urging me to get to safety. If you are that woman and you recall this incident, I just want to thank you so much if you're listening. It's exactly what I needed to snap me out of my trance, and it allowed me to then run toward the park through the crowd that was now coming to see what all the commotion was about. When I was away from it all, the realization of what we'd just been through set in, and I began to shake uncontrollably. I was sobbing hysterically. Kathy saw me and gave me a long hug, which helped me to calm down. I had to hold it together for my son, who was confused and upset. I wiped my tears and held him tight, and we walked into the park to continue with our day. Hate wasn't going to get me down, and it wasn't going to take away from my day with my little guy. We had a ton of fun in the end. We danced to the music, and he met a lot of really cool people. When we were done, we packed up and went home, and I told my partner what had happened. He was understandably furious and vowed he would never let me go to an event like that on my own again, just in case. The male was arrested. It took nearly 2 years for the case to make it to trial, but finally, on March 1st, 2024, it was announced that he was found guilty of possession of a weapon dangerous to the public peace. This, of course, was for the 2x4 he'd been swinging around violently. The majority of the incident, like I think most things today, was captured on various cell phone videos from people who began to record. Police were gathering video evidence for the trial. I called police after the fact also and told them I was a witness and I had seen everything from the very beginning. The officer began to ask me if my son and I were wearing specific articles of clothing. And so based on that, because I had not given any kind of description, I'm going to wager police had video evidence of the altercation, including me and my son. I wasn't asked to provide further statement, though, and I wasn't called to be a witness at the trial. The male maintains his innocence, saying that he was the victim. For personal reasons, I'm not going to get into that here, because I know what I saw, and I know how they made me feel. He plans to appeal the case. He was supposed to be back in court for sentencing on April 25th, but the sentencing was delayed because his lawyer was ill. As I mentioned earlier in the podcast, the next available date he used to be in court is today, so I'm definitely going to be checking the news later to see how this all played out. If you or someone you know is in crisis, you can get access to free mental health resources. To connect with a mental health professional one-on-one if you're youth, call 1-888-668-6810 or text wellness to 686868 to get assistance. If you're an adult, call 1-866-585-0445 or text wellness to 741-741. Okay, squad, that's it for today's bonus content. Be sure to tune in on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, or Facebook, whatever your poison. Make sure you subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts so you don't miss any of my releases. And a rating would really be nice and go a long way as well. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, remember, stay safe and be kind to each other.